Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Candace Marie with Astrologer.com, and I'm coming to talk to you guys live to talk about all the crazy stuff that's going on right now. So I'm happy to be back. I love being able to come late at night and chat with you guys. Hi, everybody in the chat. I see you guys. Thank you for waiting. It's man, it's been a crazy past couple days. I think that's pretty fair to say with what's been happening since these eclipses that we're coming out of. So yes, hi. Hi, everybody. Exhausted is an understatement. I think that's pretty fair to say. Super just like confusing. I mean, like literally confusing. Thank you for waiting for me. I was actually outside thinking. I walked outside. I live in Los Angeles, so I was taking a look at just the skyline, and I was able to see that moon that's growing bigger, making its way, getting closer and closer to the astrological new year. And then it's like you see Mars, and Mars is just like beautiful and blazing in the sky, and then there you see Venus. And so I'm just sitting there like in a daze, just totally, like this Neptune sun, like trying to put all of this energy together. But I think it's pretty fair to say that we can't right now. We can't. It's just not possible. We're not going to be able to put it together quite yet. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's good to see all of you guys back. Thanks for joining me. For those of you guys who are just getting here, I want to be able to give you a little bit of a highlight of what's going to be coming in the next week so you guys can navigate. I'm going to say like these murky waters, like literally it's murky waters. I've been doing nothing but just like totally zoning out. I mean, I think it's fair to say it's hitting everybody in a very similar way, and everybody's just kind of feeling like drunk without actually being drunk, or just kind of just out of it and in a daze. So a lot of this is going to be interactive. I want to hear what you guys are saying and what you're feeling, because it's a time to be very present with your emotions. It's not necessarily a time to be making decisions. It's about being able to kind of feel where we're going and what we're doing. I'm reading what you guys are saying. Drinking wine right now. Okay, very much in that Pisces energy. As you guys know, we're still kind of in the eclipse energy. I mean, we're still sitting in that realm. I'm actually looking at a chart in front of me, and I'm seeing we've got the moon that literally just hit Venus. So it's a really good time to be talking about this stuff. I feel like you guys are going to be really receptive to about the feels and the emotional feelings and the things that are going on, especially, the water signs, especially if you've got some heavy Pisces placement. Everybody's just sleeping. There's a lot of sleeping. I'm a Scorpio myself, and so it's interesting. I have a tendency to stay up a little bit more late, I think, than usual, but it's like I'm going to bed earlier. I'm sleeping in until the middle of the day. I feel like I've just totally been sidelined, and this is a time where you guys have an opportunity to get some rest, but also to be doing some major energetic downloads. And there's so much going on in the astral. There's so much going on in the dream state. You kind of have to work through this. I mean, I spent most of the day today when I wasn't seeing clients. I was reading up about Neptune and doing a little bit of research about Neptune, and it's interesting. I feel like where we are right now, it's almost like we're looking into a pond, or we're looking into a body of water, and what we see is the reflection, but it's not necessarily what's actually going on beneath the surface. So that's more or less what I'm kind of connecting to this right now. I mean, we are getting this conjunction tomorrow of the sun hitting Neptune, and so you guys are going to feel this for probably about 2 or 3 days. It's got some light sides to the transit, but I feel like we're still coming off of just totally getting slammed with that Pisces eclipse, that we're not quite out of it. Yeah, I'm seeing what you guys are saying about some really intense dreams. And listen, that's what's supposed to be happening. You guys are supposed to be pulling information from your subconscious and working through that and dealing with that. And it's great for creative energy. It's great for artists and poets and dreamers and creatives, but it can wreak havoc on people who have more of a tendency to be a little bit more logical. And it definitely makes it really hard to make decisions. You're not supposed to be figuring it out right now, guys. You're not supposed to be figuring it out right now. I mean, you've got a couple of days really to get through this next week before things are going to start making a little bit more sense. It's going to take a little bit more time. So stay with it. Wait. What you need to know is that this is an excellent time for spiritual work. It's an excellent time for being able to have, quiet time alone, to be thinking things over, to be reflecting on things. And Pisces is about this change. It's about these shifts. It's the final sign of the zodiac. So before we're moving into the astrological new year, when we see the new moon that's going to be coming in Aries, I feel like there's so much that's just being gutted out of our subconscious. It's like literally, I put a lot of faith into my dreams, but I put a lot more faith into my dreams recently because I feel like so much stuff is coming through the astral that even I'm not aware of, which is very, very, very fascinating. I think it has a lot to do with predicting events, and it can be very symbolic or it can be very literal. So when we talk about what's going on in Pisces, it's what's coming up from deep in your subconscious that you need to be aware of. Where are the spiritual alarms going off? How can we differentiate reality from what's not reality? And that's what this whole next week is going to be about before we get into, really into mid-March, when I think that things might be a little bit more clear. Anxiety attacks are going to be really common during this time, but the key to this is water. The key to this is water. I know that sounds crazy, but Neptune, the ruling sign of Pisces, being conjunct with the sun, if you can get yourself in a tub, if you guys can get yourself in a pool, if you can do something to allow yourself to totally be submerged and get some release from that auric field. Not a lot of people realize this, but when you submerge your body in water, and I'm talking about getting in the bathtub and going all the way over, all the way under and coming back up, you're actually clearing your auric field. People don't know that. So if you're able to do that, or to take a bath, to go swimming, to take a shower, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You just put some water over your head and really be pushing your water. I mean, something that I got really into the past couple weeks, part of what I've been doing with the eclipses, because the eclipses are in my 6th house, is I'm making my own distilled water. And so I know that, this is not my thing. But I'm doing this because I feel like I'm more conscious and aware of what's going into my body. I'm more conscious and aware of the intention that I'm putting in the water that I'm drinking. And I'm actually adding a little bit of mineral salt to it too. And it's making me feel a little bit better. It's making me feel a little bit more energized. So take your time, listen to your instincts, but definitely, since, Neptune rules liquids, push those liquid guys, do everything that you got to do. You might be doing a lot more of, blending stuff and doing a little bit more of a liquid diet than you're used to doing. And part of that is because you need to feel a little bit lighter during these transits. Otherwise, you're just going to be completely bogged down. The key is to be able to amp up the vibration while we're going through this transit, so that way you're so much more more receptive and on the receiving end of being able to get these messages. So as I go back and forth, I'm looking at this chart and it's just, wow. We've known that Uranus has been in Aries for some time now, but Mars showed up just the other day, so those two coming together can be electric jolts going through your body, or being able to, learn how to channel and to deal with that energy. And so I've said this a couple times, but it's like driving with the brakes on, having all these planets in Aries while we're still coming off of the high in Pisces. It's almost like you guys are on an energetic overdrive, and you're going to notice that you're going to be a little bit more exhausted than usual. So you got to take your time and not be blazing through things. Making major decisions or major agreements in this next week is not ideal. We're going to have Venus that's going to go retrograde. We're having the Sun and Neptune meeting up. Things are going to be a little bit more clear as we get into March, but I'm looking at this going, this is just the beginning of some pretty intense transits. One of the more intense months or two, I think, of all of 2017. I think the only thing that really kind of compares to this is what we're going to be seeing when we have the eclipse over the summer that's going to be coming in August. But your dreams and Pisces and Neptune together, that quite literally is the dream team. I'm just noticing what people are saying. Please explain the recent deaths. I'm so curious. Okay, guys, so let's chat about that. That's an interesting topic. I noticed, gosh, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You guys will probably remind me who this was that just recently died, but that actor, I can't think of his name, but I saw that he passed right around the eclipse, and he died because of something that went on in terms of surgery. Unexpected deaths that's happening at this time. Bill Paxton, thank you. Pisces is connected to weird and unexpected medical things that can come out of nowhere. You're going to see things like this around the eclipse. You're going to see things like a lot more souls that are coming and going, because that's when we're having major openings for people to either have their ticket out or suddenly passing or dealing with a whole slew of mental, emotional issues. And it's really, really, really difficult. I mean, it's a spiritual crisis is what's kind of going on right now. So I personally have spoken to quite a few people who have lost somebody significant over the past, week or so. And, my heart goes out to these people because unfortunately, this is what comes with eclipses, but especially eclipses that are happening in Pisces. Now, also, we're seeing that we're dealing with people who are having a lot of mental, emotional issues at this time. When we look at Neptune and Neptune's influence on how we are emotionally and our ability to differentiate reality from what's not real, we start having people who can suffer from various issues, mental and emotionally. So there are triggers that are going on. I know that I've watched some other things that other astrologers have mentioned, and certainly the topic of suicide comes up. We're seeing a lot of people who are just experiencing really, really deep emotional, spiritual pain, and it doesn't stop, or it's not limited to any particular group of people. We're seeing it everywhere. I was actually really shocked to hear about something that happened recently here in Los Angeles. There was a really public suicide that actually ended up happening at a local venue, which was like unexpected. It was somebody who was pretty well known in their niche industry that just came out of nowhere. And so it's not going to discriminate. It's going to kind of, that energy is going to unfold however it feels like it needs to in people. So those of you guys who have Pisces placement anywhere between 7 degrees and more or less about 12 degrees, you guys are really feeling it. I mean, you're really feeling it. You're seeing that things are coming up from your subconscious that you haven't dealt with. And maybe it was suppressed, or maybe, it was the magician. It was the magician. Things that have been suppressed on such a deep emotional level that it can be really scary when it comes up. And so for those of you guys who are going through that, you have to reach out to people. You have to ask for help. You have to, be able to do everything you can to reach out and to feel heard, because I guarantee there is somebody who is listening. There is somebody who wants to help you. There is somebody who cares. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. This is a really exciting and yet really difficult time to be dealing with, but you got to reach out and you got to ask for help, because we look at suicide as, it's such a touchy subject. I'm going to go there. I don't have a problem going there. I'm a Scorpio. I'm going to go there. There is nothing that is, I'm trying to find a way to be politically correct about this. There is nothing shameful about that happening. These are people who are hurt. These are people who need help. And on a karmic perspective, on a karmic standpoint, you're looking at people who potentially have repeated this over and over in many lifetimes, because suicide is a karmic lesson. And it isn't until we pass those karmic lessons and until we get help and until we heal that we notice we're able to pass that test, and then we move on to the next karmic lesson. So for those of you guys who have very strong personal opinions, that is your opinion. Everybody is entitled to it. But you have to understand also that you cannot say things like, oh no, suicide is terrible. I guarantee you've dealt with suicide in the past life. That's why you're not dealing with it in this lifetime, is because you've passed that test. But we're seeing with where the sun is and where Neptune is, people are noticing traits and issues, anything ranging from bipolar episodes to manic depression to suicidal tendencies. And yes, Kat, thank you. We can't sweep it under the rug. We can't sweep it under the rug. This is something that is very, very serious. And I got to tell you guys, part of what I do is I work with people who are terminally ill or people who are in the later stages of life. And it's no joke. Life is something that's so precious. And I think it can be really hard to see that at times when you're going through some things, but you have to understand that you want to be here. There are options. So I ask that, and I take this very, very, very seriously. I've lost a couple really very close friends of mine to suicide, and I'm starting to see some of the patterns that are coming up socially. And we want you guys to be here. We want you guys to be here. I think that you're going to be feeling this in and out maybe the next month or so. So I will stop going off on a tangent about that, but just know that it is a karmic thing. Should that happen, it's something that could potentially repeat in lifetimes over and over and over. And with as many mediumship, sessions that I've had with as many other mediums and spiritualists and Buddhists and all these people that I've talked to, when you pass, you will have a life review. And in that life review, you will take a look at everything that's gone on, and something happens to the soul. Something happens to the emotional body, where when you commit suicide, it's like fast forward, and you don't necessarily always get the same life review or the very comfortable ease that you get. Your soul immediately goes into a place of rest, and almost something similar to like an emotional rehab, where the soul has to heal and it has to recover before it's in a state for it to reevaluate and to reflect on what's going on before it comes back. So if you're dealing with this stuff, please reach out for help. We're seeing that even people who are not dealing with mental emotional issues, we're seeing all kinds of stuff coming up with isolation right now. And so to an extent, that's okay. Some of us are needing to have a little bit more personal space. Some of us are needing to take a step back. And I think that is necessary for some people to be able to reflect. But in moderation, don't hermit out, don't cut yourself out. I know a lot of us are wanting to just like sleep, but the big thing that I want to tell you guys is if you're able to tune in, if you're able to write, if you're able to journal, if you're able to meditate, you're going to get so much more out of this transit and be able to extract a great deal amount of information from higher planes, be that your higher self or, whatever you believe in. If it's, the flying spaghetti monster, it doesn't really matter to me. You'll be able to tune in so much more deeply to something that's bigger than you and get some really key insights. And I think it's a very powerful, powerful time. With that being said, there's a lot of confusion. So we've got the confusion that's going on right now, and a lot of that has to do with Neptune approaching the sun. The sun is a very powerful energy. So you got to think it's magnifying this idea, but it's also giving you guys a couple solid ideas before we get to the transits that are going to be happening later in the week. We're going to see that Mars is going to trine Saturn around March 5th. So you've got a couple days of being able to be in this very creative space. We're seeing that you've got a couple of days to potentially allow yourself the opportunity to be up and to be open and to be creative and a little idealistic and to come up with some really, really, really divine ideas that could very well be supported later this week. But you have to leave it open and you have to be receptive to whatever comes in, and give it time to incubate, give it time to kind of build and time for it to grow. I'm reading what you guys are saying. Time to come out of isolation. Okay. I'm reading what you guys are saying. We're going to chat about this a little bit. This is more of a weekly recap, but I'll talk a little bit and I'll pull some cards when I'm done. The other thing that we're looking at, and I know that I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but this is a really big transit. Jupiter is in retrograde in Libra. It's going to go in a direct opposition as of March the 3rd, and that's with Jupiter opposing Uranus. That's in Aries, which has been like this really crazy energy, crazy. I'm looking at my notes and I'm trying not to laugh because I put in big letters like shit changes, because it's really going to change this week, guys. So you have to understand, to those of you guys who are making some solid plans right now and trying to get everything together, you have to remember things are getting ready to go into some mutable signs. We're going to be seeing a lot of stuff that's going to be shifting. So any solid plans you make at the beginning of this month, you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible because things are going to be opening up. Big events are going to be happening anytime you've got all of these planets that are meeting up in Aries. And with this opposition, there are relationships up for review. There are, working relationships up for review. There are karmic matters up for review. And this transit is going to last the entire month, the whole month. So this isn't going to be something that's just like boom and then it's over. No, this has been a build for some time since Jupiter went into Libra, and now it's building up to now it's going to stop, it's going to oppose, and with an opposition, although it can be difficult, I see the positive side of this. I see that the opposition is presenting us with the opportunity to grow and see where we need to grow, which is really, really, really interesting because it's about quick changing things. Things are always changing, guys. If it wasn't for change, life would be pretty freaking boring, right? And, leave it to the cardinal signs and these outer planets in cardinal signs to really initiate these changes. Remember that, Uranus in Aries is all about revolutionizing who you are as an individual and what it is you want and where it is you're going. And then Jupiter being in Libra, if it's going retrograde, it's highlighting how we can, utilize that self-change to improve relationships. And sometimes that means going, okay, bye. There are going to be relationships this month. There are going to be situations with friends this month. There are going to be plans this month where it's like, y'all better be giving an offering to Neptune, because if you're tuned into that energy, it's going to save you. There will be things that are going to come up that you're going to be like, skirt, I'm over it. Like, I can't do that. Like, something is telling me internally, I have to avoid this, and I don't know why. Why are we avoiding it? You may get your answer later in the month. Things will play out later in the month, and you'll have a better idea of exactly what's going on or why you got that hunch. And so for that being said, that's why I'm telling you guys to really listen to what's going on intuitively and what's going on with your dreams. I mean, I have been cautious to even talk about this, but it's like I've had plans in the making for some time for me to do something in March. And I've gone back and forth with it. I'm completely committed to it. I'm supposed to be going somewhere. I'm supposed to be doing something. And I started having a series of dreams the past couple nights where, like, I was there. I was not happy being there. I was trapped. I was freaking out. I was very emotional. And I'm not a stranger to to nightmares. I mean, I've dealt with them, but I felt like this was more of a premonition. And so this is why I'm telling you guys, sometimes your dreams are not necessarily dreams. They could very well be your perception of the future, or your perception of something that's actually coming. So that's what Neptune is all about. It's liquid. It's a reflection. It can be something more. When you're looking at water, you can't always tell how deep that water is. You don't know how deep or how shallow it is. You don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes. So pay attention to what you're seeing. It may very well be real. I'm reading what you guys are saying. You're talking about having dreams about, you know, seeing people and then like running into people. I mean, these are premonitions. And so with Neptune, it's able to help tune you into a higher octave. And remember, Neptune is a higher octave of Venus, guys. It's a higher octave of love. And so if we look at love, it doesn't always have to be this, you know, romantic love. It can be something that's helping you tune into, you know, what you're dealing with. And it could be protective. It can be a universal love. I mean, it's just nuts. I'm reading what you guys are saying. And if you guys want to know more, I have a couple promos that are going on. I believe I have a, not sure if it's a 3 or 4 question offer. You can check that out. You can talk with me however you'd like. If you want me to tell you specifically how these transits are going to affect you, you can chat with me for 20 minutes. You can chat with me for an hour. But in an hour, we can get most all of your transits in this next year pretty much covered, especially because we're going into some pretty gnarly ones with this Venus retrograde that's going to be coming. And we'll talk about that in a second. The next thing that I wanted to bring up for you guys, though, I'm trying to pay attention to what you're saying and going back and forth, is, like I said, big events with the Jupiter-Uranus opposition. But also this is opening things up to think on your feet, to move very quickly. I was reading something that somebody was talking about a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about anybody who's got planets, pay attention, this is Aries. If you've got planets in Aries from about 21 to 24-ish degrees, 25 degrees, whether that's your sun, that's your ascendant or your rising, or your moon, you have to pay attention, guys. This is such extreme energy. It's moving so quickly. It's moving in a position of charging ahead, and it can be, it's like lightning. That's what I'm likening it to. It's like lightning. You have a situation where you're literally playing with electric energy. You can get lucky or you can get burned. And this could quite literally be literal, you know, especially when it involves Uranus. I find that, at least for myself personally, that's when I see these things really actually take effect, especially in my own chart. I mean, I'm thinking back to, I have a bunch of planets in Capricorn. I have natal Uranus in Capricorn. And during the Mercury retrograde back in December, when we had Mercury go back and forth over my natal Uranus, it's my 4th house. At the time in Los Angeles, it was pouring down rain. And I intuitively had a hunch. I was like, I hope everything's going to be okay. I walk into my bedroom. Somehow the water got to my fuse box. And I'm standing there looking at the wall, and there's a huge electrical fire that's going on. And I couldn't help but just laugh, because intuitively I knew, and I should have been proactive, but also I realized that that was Uranus. And so Uranus being in Aries, that's no joke when Mars shows up, when you're seeing that Venus is showing up, and it's explosive. So you guys can get really lucky, but you also have to be very careful with that energy, because I feel like you're more prone to accidents. So be careful when you're driving. Be careful when you're getting into altercations. I mean, hopefully you're not anyway, but you're going to find that with this energy, people are so reactive. People are so much more likely to just go totally bananas. You guys have to be really, really careful. The other thing is, I was saying with the Jupiter retrograde opposing Uranus, is we got to get our egos in check. We got to get real, because I feel like this is setting things up where we can get very enthusiastic, and being enthusiastic is a good thing. Like, you want to be enthusiastic. You don't want to be overly enthusiastic. You don't want to be getting overly self-assured. You want to be making sure that you're being genuine, that you're being humble, that you're practicing gratitude. Guys, practice that gratitude. And I'm talking to everyone. 1111. It's 811 here, but I'll take it anyway. Those are my lucky numbers. But I'm really talking to those cardinal signs, guys. Okay, that's who I'm talking to. Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Pay attention, because we have an opportunity here with Jupiter going retrograde to majorly expand on certain areas of our lives and actually see stuff move forward, that we have to stay in alignment. We have to drop the ego at the door. We have to totally practice that gratitude, because we can have sudden streaks of luck and things that are coming in that's particularly amazing, but then it can leave as quickly as it comes in. So when you're working with that energy, work with it, utilize it, give appreciation for it, and set it free, because things will be moving, things will be changing. Lots of opportunities this month also for travel as well as for growth. So we're going to see that, you may have more opportunities to be making plans. With that being said, I told you, be flexible. Things will change this month. We're going to see things shift. Lots of growth. So moving into Mercury conjunct Neptune. This is going to be happening March the 4th. This will be lasting for about 1 to 2 days. This day is a big date, guys. I want you to first of all, you should be writing all of these down. I probably should have said this, but certainly make note of this day, because this is not a day, and especially for you guys, those mutable signs, this is not a day that you want to be signing a contract, okay? Communication is going to be super fuzzy. You're going to see super fuzzy communication situations. But with that being said, it's a great time also, again, to be writing, to be doing things that are creative. But I'm conscious and aware of this energy, and I could see it playing out on, you guys potentially making a mistake. Now, that same day, we're going to see that Venus is going to go retrograde. So those of you guys who are wanting to buy a car, no. Those of you guys who are wanting to propose to your girlfriend, probably not. I don't recommend that anyway. We'll get into that, the Venus retrograde, but that's 40 days and 40 nights of you don't want to get married, you don't want to get engaged. Those dates are going to be, I think, between, March the 4th all the way until April the 14th, and I'll talk about that in a second. But especially that March the 4th, you're going to see with Neptune conjunct Mercury, this is great if you're a musician. This is great if you're a writer. You're going to have some divine connections, but it's not a fun time to be having somebody sign on the dotted line and make financial arrangements, because there can be things that you don't see. There can be things that are hidden from you. You may not look at the fine print. It may not be a good idea to have something in fine print and being agreed to. You could find that there can be some illusions. People are more likely to be finding that there are also mistakes that can be made during this day. So, for example, you sign on the dotted line for something and the agreement was not what you guys agreed to. You could be stuck. So if you're given something, hold on to it, give it a day or two before you decide to actually sign it and hand it over. Ask for a bit of a pause. But for those of you guys who are writing science fiction, all right, those of you guys who, like I said, who are artists and who are particularly writing poetry, writing music, all of these things, it's going to be a lot of fun. This is also going to be a really high transit for a lot of drunk dialing. Put that really nice bottle of wine down, please. Do you know how many grapes had to die to make that bottle? Your ex is not worth that phone call, because I guarantee anything that you may say under the influence that day, you probably won't mean it. So I recommend holding off on, calling those exes. And I don't say that just because of the Neptune conjunction. I'm saying that because it's Venus retrograde. It's Venus retrograde. So I've been talking about this for a couple days in a row, or a couple videos in a row, but it's this is it, guys. It's going to get real. People are going to get really selfish. People are going to get selfish. And, you know, it's interesting. I think that this has to happen. Venus has to show up, and she's got to clear stuff out. It needs to happen. But every 18 months or so, we're going to see that things are going to shift. And if you guys are in the relationship you're supposed to be in, great, then you will survive it. If you're not, then you're going to see what comes up and what you need to deal with. So pay attention to what's going up. Let's take a look here. Also, like I said, on March the 5th, for about 2 to 3 days, you're going to be feeling that Mars trine Saturn. Mars trine Saturn. So this is giving you the opportunity to combine hard work, okay, that's the Mars, with what's going on with Saturn, which is about stability, foundation, following the rules. And that is the day, that's the payoff, my friend, because you could find that anything you're putting together could be very, very, very successful. I feel like this is a great day to be laying out the groundwork for some projects. It could be a great time to be revising budgets or revising plans. Not necessarily for launching something, because you have to remember we're going to be in a Venus and a Jupiter retrograde. So if it has to do with reevaluating budgeting or what you're spending or starting a project, it's not a time to launch it. It's more a time to be working on things and revising things until we get some planets that are more so moving in a forward motion. On March the 6th, then we have the Sun and Mercury become conjunct. So this is also supporting what we're seeing with the Mars trine Saturn. You're going to see this is a day where all of a sudden you might be making an announcement. Somebody might be coming to you. A superior might be coming to you. They might be talking to you. They might be giving you an opportunity. You might be putting an idea out into the world and seeing who would have an interest in working with you. So, you know, even though the craziness is starting, it's like I want to tell people, we made it through the eclipses. So for the most part, we've gotten through already a pretty rocky period. It's not over. We're still feeling it, but it's getting a whole lot easier. And I think that you guys aren't really going to be dealing with too many gnarly transits until we get closer to the end of March, the beginning of April. So we will survive it. We're definitely going to survive it. And until then, you guys have to just kind of stay grounded. And sometimes it's about taking a mental health day. I mean, I guess sometimes for some of us, it's easier said than done. But if you got to take one, I mean, I'm trying to even think of what today is. Today's Tuesday. If you've got to take a mental health day, take a mental health day. Because if you're going to work and you're off in la la dreamland and would feel like you would be, your time would be better spent resting up, then you might want to do that, because you're going to have a lot more clarity, and energetically you're going to feel a lot better afterwards as well. I'm trying to tune into what you guys are saying. Let's take a look here. Because I want to see how everybody else is feeling. I mean, I'm wondering if it's just me. Like I said, for the most part, I have a lot of friends that are water signs, and so I'm noticing that everybody's just kind of feeling really, really exhausted. But yeah, okay, Josh, I feel you on that. It's been difficult, but you know, the thing is that I feel like people are very impatient, and they can be very aggressive with all these planets in Mars, especially those of you guys who are dealing with personal planets that are in Aries. You're finding that it's kind of really testing what's going on with you emotionally, so you kind of have to be patient. Bad for business partnerships or just emotional. Remember, Venus is going through Aries, and so Aries is the ruler of the first house, and that has to do with self. And we've got the Jupiter retrograde that's going on in Libra. So this is about who you are and what you're working on as an individual, and how that is shaping or better shaping what's going on with your relationships. The 7th house, Libra's house, has to do with business partnerships. It's also the house of open enemies, marriages, partners, relationships. It's okay to not feel motivated right now, you guys. I mean, it's going to take a couple of days to get this energy to catch up with what's going on in Aries. It's not going to be an immediate thing. You guys are going to be feeling a little sluggish. Like I said, I mean, I literally feel like I've been swimming around in a fishbowl. I feel like a lot of the things I've been thinking or I've been hearing are just totally distorted. I'm feeling like things are kind of, they're fluid, they're moving. It's hard to grab onto stuff right now. So you have to just kind of be present, and you have to remind yourself that you have to just feel this out. Sometimes we have to go through these transits. You could be the most logical person in the world, and you're still going to be feeling very confused right now, a little bit sluggish, and a little bit, almost a little bit lethargic even, walking in sludge. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, and here's the thing, you know, Neptune can distort all kinds of stuff. Anything from, you know, not just your thoughts, but also your vision. It can have it can have to do with what you're hearing. So something that I've been doing pretty regularly is I've been getting up, and I have been constantly keeping, you know, a glass or a pitcher of water in my space to help collect energy. And then at the end of the day, I will go and I will dump the pitcher, because I feel like it's absorbing all of the stuff that's kind of floating around, that it is potentially fogging me up and keeping me a little bit fuzzy. Or you guys can be working with sound therapy if you guys want to be doing that. You know, bells and chimes, or if you want to be working with particular megahertz frequencies that you want to blast through your house, do that. I mean, chanting, although it's the element of air, I do feel like Neptune is very associated with the vibrations of what's going on with sound. So, you know, a lot of people, thank you for that with the water. The water works. I mean, I know a lot of readers personally who will put out a picture when they read, and it's very interesting when you do that, because the water will soak up any negative energy. So if you put that water out and you let it sit all day, if you are somebody who's working from home, or if you are somebody who's got a lot of foot traffic in your house, or you're doing spiritual work, try it out. Put the water out. At the end of the day, take a look at the water. It's going to be covered in bubbles. The bubbles aren't just bubbles. The bubbles are there because they're literally extracting stuff from what's in your atmosphere and helping neutralize it. My recommendation, completely get rid of it. Don't just dump it down the sink. You want to take it, you can dump it outside, or you can flush it down the toilet. I don't want it anywhere in my home. I want to completely remove it and get it out. But if you guys have bowls, if you have sound bowls, you can do that too. There's any which way that you can do that. My poor cat's dish of water. I change the water all the time. You can do salt water too. Salt water definitely works. It's whatever you would like to do, but know that elements are so important, guys. There's a reason why we burn incense. There's a reason why we have water fountains outside of our house or inside of our house. There's a reason why we have plants. All of these elements help keep things balanced. And so if you are able to do this, you know, get into the habit of being able to clear your space. You might find that it's going to help you feel a little bit better and a little bit more clear. But don't be beating yourselves up right now, because even those of us who pride ourselves in our clarity, we don't have it. We just don't have it right now. We definitely don't. And it's okay to say, I don't know. You know, if you're feeling pressured into making decisions, if you're feeling that you're getting a lot of energy from people who are kind of bombarding you, then like take time. Ask for a couple days to figure things out. Oh, I love spider plants. Spider plants are amazing. They do clear the air. That pretty much takes me for you guys all the way through from March the 1st all the way until the 6th. Like I said, at that point in time, then things are going to be a whole nother ball game, but we will still be in that Venus retrograde. So just to touch on that really quickly, Venus will stop and go backwards for 40 days and 40 nights. So Venus related topics can have anything to do with love, money, relationships, clearing things out in those matters. You need to look specifically at where Aries is in your natal chart. If you don't know, head over to astrologer.com, go and check out a birth chart calculator. All you need is the time, the date, and the location that you were born to find out what your ascendant and your moon sign is. And if you guys don't, even if you guys don't get that, those of you guys who are having trouble and you're seeing that you've got some funky houses going on or split houses, like hit me up, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you guys and look at your personal chart. That's something that I'm very, very, very familiar with what's going on with this time frame right now with some of these transits, because I got to tell you, like, this is all hitting my natal moon in Aries. My moon is at 22 degrees. So I have literally been preparing for this month for probably the past year, because I had some hunches about what was actually going to be going on. I'm trying to think of the name of this deck. I apologize. I will try to put it in later. I don't have the box, but I actually just pulled a card. This is a beautiful new deck that I just got. And the card that I get is the Emperor. Okay. And like, this is so appropriate because the Emperor is representation of Aries. It is the representation of Aries. So it's so important for you guys to go and figure out where this is in your chart, because everything, I mean, that's where the fireworks are going off this month. Everything is going to be pointing in that direction. And it's this very interesting buildup that's going on until we have the Aries new moon that will be happening in March. And that is, astrologically, Happy New Year. When we have the new moon that's in Aries, when it meets with the sun, we start our new year. And that's when things are going to get particularly colorful, especially as we go forward to the impending Mercury retrograde in Aries. Venus will make its way into Aries until it stops and it goes retrograde, and it's going to dip back into Pisces. And so those of you guys who are dealing with relationships being on the brink, it's not over. It's not over until the Fat Lady Saints, or it's not over until Aries says it's over, because it's going to be a fun game of watching Venus make its way into Aries, get its feathers ruffled, stop, go backwards, and then it's going to drop back into Pisces. And, at 29 degrees Pisces is a very critical degree. So I'm listening to a lot of people who are talking about right now they're sitting at the brink of a relationship potentially ending, but I don't necessarily think we're all in that situation. I feel like we have to be present in the right now instead of panicking about what's coming. We can't panic. I feel like, so many transits associated with Pisces leads to panic, and it doesn't have to be that way. I like to tell people, it's like, if you're panicking, if the ship's going down and you're panicking and flailing all around, you're only going to drown faster. Pisces isn't afraid to drown. They're freaking mermaids. You can breathe under the air, under the water. So remember that the lessons that are coming up right now are very fast. They're very quick. And we're learning the lessons in such an accelerated speed that you're going to see an opportunity to blow through something and then stop, and things are actually going to come back to you. When you have a Venus retrograde, exes come back. Old business partners come back. It's in Aries, so you may be going back. You may be very sentimental about old relationships or old people. I mean, the card that I got now is the 10 of Cups. And so if you want this emotional fulfillment, I like the 10 of Cups. I'm a little bit more of a fan of the 9 of Cups, but I feel like the 10 of Cups is not necessarily, in theory, it's happily ever after. But this is so many cups. It's like the storybook ending, that if you're finding yourself backpedaling and trying to find what could make your happiness, and you're going through the long list of the relationships or the people from the past, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to find it with them. The retrograde is giving you the opportunity to reevaluate what's going on with you, not necessarily them. So I want you guys to be conscious and aware of that. Other than that, I'm trying to read what you guys are saying, seeing what you guys are going through. Yeah, there's a lot of you guys that have got some cardinal stuff that's coming up, and it's like no joke. We've got Pluto that's been in Capricorn for some time, but now that we're seeing, Jupiter's going to go retrograde here, later on it will be squaring Pluto, so it's not over. The third decan of Pisces, that's correct. That is correct. Mother of Cups is what I'm pulling now. So this is interesting. I mean, I also see this as an opportunity for us to be really tuning into, are we really seeking a relationship because we want the relationship, or are we reminiscing on what may have made us happy in the past. Like, we need to find our own emotional fulfillment. And it can be hard sometimes with all those planets in Aries, because we're going, this is what I want, this is what I want, but it's not always what's best for the other person. Sometimes keeping your options open and being receptive to things that can change can actually make quite the difference. I just want you guys to be so present with what's going on with all this Neptune stuff, because it can be a very, very, very influential, powerful time. I mean, the past couple nights, I've been really excited to just go to sleep, not necessarily because I'm tired, but because I'm finding that every single morning I wake up, I'm finding things that I never knew before. I'm getting information that I never knew before. And so things are popping up from the most unexpected places. You would never, ever, ever even know what was going on, like ever, ever. So write that stuff down, guys. Write down what's going on. Write down what you're seeing. Write down the messages that you get. Sometimes they don't make sense. Sometimes you're going to see things that are crazy. I mean, I was seeing things about, confrontations going on with friends, and I had no idea. I was completely out of it. And then days later, I end up hearing about it. So you will be dipping in and out of your own consciousness, energy that you're pulling up from other people. I mean, that's the big thing. I didn't even talk about that, but let's talk about that too. It's a water sign. People can get so delusional with Neptune transits and have a tendency to have escapism issues and to play the victim and to play the blame game, that it's important, if you are somebody who's very empathic, you're not getting sucked into drama, or you're not getting sucked into something that is potentially happening as a result of you getting suckered into feeling like you did something wrong. Or, like I said, there's so much room for illusion, and people are getting scared. People are getting freaked out. And if they're getting freaked out, then they're going to have a tendency to latch onto ideas right now that may not necessarily be real. Yes, or drugs, or drinking, or, finding themselves stuck into situations, and that they're getting into utilizing drugs and alcohol as a means to deal with this energy. But, I know that if you're dealing with such high levels of transits, if you've got a lot of water in you, it can be really hard. And sometimes when those emotions are coming through you, we don't know any better. Sometimes that's just how we cope. And that doesn't mean that it's right, or it means that it's wrong. It means that you're going to see a lot more people that are dealing with, drinking and partying and using drugs right now, because it's such an intense time to be feeling all these feelings. But, not to get too much off topic, you guys want to be more conscious and aware of what's going on with you emotionally. And if other people are acting erratic, if other people are not wanting to take responsibility, I mean, God, I have so much Capricorn in my chart. So I'm very direct with people. And it's like, no, you need to own this. This is what's really going on. It's not the best time to be the mediator, I think. It's not the best time to want to, hold people up and go, don't you see what you're doing? Because you're going to be arguing with the wall. You're going to be arguing with people who aren't necessarily going to be receptive to some of those conversations. So you want to allow it to kind of chill. Somebody's asking about cosmetic stuff during Venus retrograde. I see you. Here's the deal, ladies. You got to get your hair done. You got to get your nails done. You got to get your boobs done, whatever. I get it. But here, you don't want to get anything major done during a Venus retrograde. I got a girlfriend that was trying to get me to go and get my lips done with her. And I went back and forth on it, and she scheduled the appointment, and I totally wasn't sold on it. But she ended up telling me, oh, we're going to go March, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, the hell we are. You don't want to be getting that stuff done during a Venus retrograde, if it's possible. Don't go doing a crazy cut and color on your hair, because Venus going backwards, especially through Aries, is not pleasant. And you could find that you could be getting something that could be a rush job, especially with it being in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars has to do with cutting. Don't get your tummy tucked. First of all, you don't need to do that stuff anyway, okay? But secondly, don't go do any major cosmetic anything, or any major changes to your hair, any major changes to anything. you want to wait until after the Venus retrograde. It's very, very, very important. Very, very, very important. I made the mistake of going and getting my hair cut and colored while Mercury went retrograde over my natal Venus in Capricorn, and I got my hair botched. That's why my hair is dark. I did not choose to dye my hair. So take it from me, try not to go and do totally crazy anything cosmetically if you can. If you got to get, you know, your nails done, that's fine. If you got to get a trim, that's fine. Somebody's asking about dental work. I would still take a look at the lunar cycles and see what days you're getting the dental work done. You got to think, is it cosmetic? If it's cosmetic, it's probably not a good idea because of how it looks. You want to wait. You don't need lips. Thank you. Yes. My hair got a little botched, but that's okay. But yeah, really, really, really hold off on that, you guys. The other thing is, a lot of you guys are going to be wanting to run into relationships. No, don't tell them to get tattoos. Not yet. You guys are going to want to, run into relationships. You don't want to do that, or you're going to be feeling really pushed to potentially run into relationships. You have to remember, anybody who you potentially meet during a Venus retrograde may not necessarily stay. They may not necessarily stay. So you want to kind of wait a little bit if it's possible. But really consider all of that stuff that I was talking about. Sit with it, guys. Just sit with it. Just sit in your fishbowl and enjoy what you're doing and what you've got going on, because you don't want to be making major decisions right now. Now is a good time to get some insight, because I'm telling you, later this month, some of the intuitive decisions that you guys make are going to make a lot more sense if you wait and if you listen to what's going on internally. And ladies, the Venus retrograde, it's got us crazy. Okay, I'm going to own that one. I'm going to own it. Those of you guys who have been able to go outside and take a look at what's going on, Venus is so bright in the sky right now, like so bright in the sky right now. As it gets closer and closer to going retrograde, you're going to see that we are going to be more likely to be a little spicy. And listen, spicy is good. Spicy makes the world interesting, but be spicy in a productive way. Go out there and go and protest for your rights, or go out there and go and support other women. Don't be freaking out and attacking men. Don't be freaking out and doing the text frenzy. It's really important to simmer down and to take a little bit of a break, because it's going to be a really, really long 40 days with all of these planets that are going in and out of Pisces and in and out of Aries and into Pisces. And there will be trigger points. So you guys want to be looking at when you see Venus that's going to be going into Pisces. I can actually give you guys the date here. Let me take a look, and I can tell you the day that that's going to happen, although I know that's pretty far in the future. One of the crucial days is definitely going to be what looks like April 3rd and April 4th. So I know that I'm a whole month early on this. So just be patient. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but whenever we get anything that's going on at a 29 degrees, things can get a little hairy. They can get a little hectic. So be patient until we get to that point in time. Know that everything that's going on is going on for a reason, and it's giving you the opportunity to make these massive changes that need to be made. If it wasn't for change, well, then we would certainly never find anything interesting happening in the world. I think that's probably about it for me. I just want to leave you guys with one more card here, and the card being the Magician. I think I've pulled this a couple times, which is kind of interesting. Remember that the seeds are just being planted, y'all. The seeds are just being planted. So like I said, be good. Stay in your fishbowl. Don't be getting crazy. Listen to what's happening. Write these things down. You're going to find that the opportunity to the opportunity to get out there and to have these experiences, they don't always need to be something that's bad. They don't need to be something that's a crisis situation. It can be something that's literally giving you life experience. And so you have the opportunity to reflect on what is going on. Sorry, I'm pulling up the chat so I can say goodbye to you guys. Give me just a second. And I'd like to see a lot of you guys, if at all possible, you know, definitely writing this stuff down, because if you're writing this stuff down, you're going to get the most out of it. One other thing that I wanted to mention also was take a look at, not to go off on a whole ancient aliens tangent, but I'll say it anyway. Pay attention to what's going on with everything that's happening in and out of Pisces. I do think you guys are going to be seeing a whole lot more that's happening with like NASA. I've been watching and seeing what's coming up in terms of the world and what we can be expecting with what's being shown to us about outer space, or what's not being shown to us about outer space. I have a hunch with some of these transits that we're going to be seeing some other things that are popping up that has to do with potentially extraterrestrials, what's going on with some of these theories about space. Aliens, it's aliens. I'm watching a lot of stuff right now on not necessarily conspiracy theories, but I started getting into, I think his name is Robert Morningstar. If you guys don't know who he is, you should go and check him out. He's talking a lot about what's been happening behind the scenes, what potentially has been hidden from us. I find it interesting that in the past month or so, we've seen all of this stuff come out about other planets, other solar systems. He talks about some really interesting stuff that's coming up, that's been happening for some time that we're not entirely aware of. So as we start to see this Neptune thing come in with the sun, I think it's possible that we have an opportunity to connect with our extraterrestrial friends, whether they're in space or they're in another dimension. It's whatever you guys are into. So be open to that. Question everything. Question everything. You should question everything. Question everything until you find a better source, or until you find a better story or a better perspective. But right now, not everything is stable. Everything is going to be fluid. So I encourage you guys to question everything. I encourage you guys to reach for more information, and above all, to use your imagination and to do it in a way that's inspiring. Until next time, if y'all need to get a hold of me, you can find me at astrologer.com. I'd be happy to dissect your chart personally and take a look at what you've got going on. I am clairvoyant and I read tarot as well, so you get a little bit of a grab bag with me, and I take a look at your chart in a probably pretty different way than what you've had before if you've had a reading. So next time we'll chat. Maybe I'll be back in a week or so. I want to talk about some other topics that are going on. As always, I appreciate your guys' comments. I appreciate your likes, your thumbs up. And if you want to share this to other people so that way they can chill out and know that the world is not coming to an end, that would be great. And give me some ideas about what you want me to do a video about. I'd love to hear it. And I will talk to you guys all soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thanks for tuning in.